I had a patient one night who was mentally disabled. She was a young, dark-skinned woman with these huge eyes. I don't know if she always looked like that or if she was just genuinely spooked, but they were open wide. The first thing she said when I walked into the room was, "She's dead," nodding her head at the woman in the next bed over from her. The woman in the next bed had apparently been dealing with this all day and was fed up. "I'm not dead," she yelled. I tried to calm her down to no avail. The day shift nurse told me that she had been doing that all day. I felt so bad for her roommate. I considered trying to transfer her to another room, but that would have just put someone else in the room to put up with it. She did this all night. She would even put her call light on to tell me her roommate was dead. So this was creepy on its own, but guess who died the next day? It wasn't an expected death either. I don't believe in the supernatural, but this was quite a coincidence. One time, I was at this nurse's station, and we heard the elevator bell ring. Someone was yelling, "Help!" and we heard pounding. We called the security and told them that someone was stuck in the elevator. I then walked over to the elevator doors and was shouting at the person to stay calm and help was on the way. She just kept yelling for help, banging and ringing the doorbell. Security called the nurse's station to say all the elevators were working and they didn't find anyone stuck. At this moment, whoever was in the elevator was suddenly quiet. A few times I had been on the elevator and for no reason it went to the 5th floor. The 5th floor was currently unoccupied, but it used to be a hospice unit. I would be going up from the ground floor and the only button lit up would be the 3rd floor, but the elevator would pass my floor and go to the 5th, open the door, and no one would be there. Needless to say, I was never brave enough to step foot onto the 5th floor. I work in a hospital, and in a place where death is common, I kind of learned how to just shrug things off and move on. This is different, and both creeps me out and brings tears to my eyes. A cardiologist at our hospital died a couple of weeks ago. His house caught on fire. His wife, along with their 2 children, also died during the accident. All 4 of them were found in the bedroom hugging each other. There's this kid, he's 7 years old, and his doctor was a pediatrician at our hospital, and he's been there a lot actually. The pediatrician was at a loss to what to do with the kid. He was brought there by his mother because the kid insisted he had been talking to his father a lot. His father died a couple of years ago, and I'm not sure how or why. The pediatrician found nothing wrong with the kid. A couple of days ago, the kid insisted on seeing his pediatric doctor. He didn't say why, but he was persistent. He kept bugging his mom to bring him into the doctor immediately. At the end of the day, she brings the kid to the hospital. Upon entering, the kid just stopped. In the lobby, there was a photo of the deceased cardiologist with flowers and well wishes. The kid sees it and tugs at his mom. "That's the guy who talked to me a couple of days ago. He told me not to cry anymore. He said they're all okay and happy." So the mom takes the kid to his doctor, and the pediatric doctor is just shocked and overwhelmed at the same time. The pediatric doctor was close friends with the cardiologist and have been in a sad state these past couple of days. The part that freaks me out the most is the cardiologist had never met that kid before. I do believe that science can explain most things, but maybe not everything. A nurse friend of mine said that one night she went to the oncology unit at the hospital she used to work at. She was given a patient who was passing away and had been unconscious for several days. At one point during the night, the nurse went into the room and the patient was at the top of the bed and looked at her and said, "Don't let them take me." The nurse freaked out and asked the lady who was going to take her, and she said that black thing up there, and pointed up in the air. The patient died within a few minutes. We had a patient at the hospital I work at who was always on the call button. He hated being on fluid restrictions. You know, the type that the nurses have to take turns during the shift answering the call button so the primary can actually do other work. And this was a frequent flyer because he was very chronic and very borderline, and at the hospital was the only place he wouldn't fluid overload. I worked from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. He died about 8 p.m. that night. Oh, the look on his face. Like, how could you let me die? Like it was our fault. Anyway, his family came and was gone by 9 p.m. The funeral home got there at about 9:30. About 10 o'clock, the call button starts going off. I was there. The call button was going off every 5 minutes. One of the nurses was a very spiritual girl. At about 2 a.m., after like 4 hours of this, Nurse Mary snaps and says, "Enough." She walks down to the room and practically screams the guy's name in an empty room. "You have died. You can't be in here bothering us anymore. Move along, in the name of Jesus. I'm exorcising you from this plane of existence. Go to the light and be happy." And I kid you not, the call button stopped going off right then and there. I was taking care of a 12-year-old who suffered from a very bad disease. A week before she died, every day at 12:15 p.m., I would get a cold chill across the back of my neck and the hair would stand up. I mentioned it to the evening nurse, who was convinced that she would die at that time. Several days later, her parents decided to cease all treatment. She lapsed into a coma. At 12 o'clock noon, she woke up and asked me to hold her up. She said goodbye to her parents, grandparents, and siblings, and died in my arms. It was 12:15 p.m. One night, I was caring for a dying male patient. He was scared, and I spent quite some time with him, trying to calm and reassure him. Eventually, he calmed down. I left the bedside and went over to the nurse's station, which was about 15 feet away. As I sat down, I glanced over to him, and there was a black shape standing over his bed, looking down at the patient. I was terrified, and I'm sure it was something evil. I used to work in a state institution for the mentally disabled. We were temporarily relocated to another building for remodeling. Anyways, I was working one night, and we locked down the other unit. I saw one of the residents walking down the hall. He had a very distinct yellow t-shirt on with a happy face on it. I went into the other ward to let the staff know that they had an escapee. This was a serious situation because this particular resident, Larry, would ingest absolutely anything, from clothing to pens to belts. When I say everything, I mean everything. He was also very reluctant to go back to his home ward, hence why I didn't bring him back myself. He needed 2 escorts. When we got back into the hall, less than 15 seconds later, Larry was gone. We searched the entire building, outside, downstairs, and all the wards. He was nowhere to be found. This whole search lasted less than 10 minutes, because I had a lot of extra staff looking for him. I was just about to call the house supervisor to let her know that we had lost someone, when out from the bathroom walks Larry with one of the other staff members. He had been getting his bath in the bathroom for the last 30 minutes or so, which was kind of freaky. I absolutely, without a doubt, saw Larry in the hallway. I never would have short-staffed the wards like I did if I hadn't seen him. Like I said, it was very distinctive, and also the clothing he had on. The other staff members gave me a hard time the rest of the night, because they all thought I was crazy. Anyways, come to find out the next day, after the story goes around that I'm crazy, we found out that Larry had an identical twin brother who had died in that same building 10 years previously. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that little short video. Sorry it wasn't longer than it was. I kind of threw it together in a short amount of time. I was looking for some other stories to put with it, but really couldn't find anything decent that was worth adding. I just wanted to let you know that I've been super busy lately with work and some other things in my personal life. So I've been kind of strapped for time and have been trying to put together videos whenever I possibly can. And I really am sorry I haven't been getting out more content lately. Also, I've been having some computer problems, so editing these videos have been a real pain. So I'm currently looking for a new computer to kind of make it easier on me and stuff like that, which will help out a lot in the future. And I just wanted to let you know that things are pretty much getting back to normal. I still have a pretty busy work schedule, but I hope to get back to uploading 2 videos a week are my ideal. I just want to thank you guys for still supporting my channel and being patient with me, and it really means a lot. So like I said, if you guys can just bear with me a little bit longer, I promise things will get back to normal. And one other thing, I do now have a couple videos back. I posted a link to the Horror Dimension Facebook page. I made like a channel Facebook page. So I'll post that link in the either description or the comments below if you guys want to go check that out, and be sure to like the page. If you guys are new, I appreciate you subscribing. And once again, thanks for watching this video, and be on the lookout for some more good stuff in the future.